Welcome to episode 119, and today I'm going to take you through the exact process that I'm using to update and improve one of my online courses. So let's jump in.
Welcome to the Course Creators HQ podcast, helping you navigate the latest techniques for creating and marketing online courses. And now, here is your host, Julie Hood.
So this podcast is very real in that I'm always using what's going on in my course business to help inspire you and give you direction and share some of the things that are happening to hopefully prevent some of the problems and make your life a little bit easier if I can tell you some potential obstacles that could be coming, or just give you some inspiration to move forward a little bit better, a little bit faster. So today, actually, I wanted to talk about what I'm doing to update my 24-hour course creator program, because we are getting ready to offer it as a 3-day intensive on November 4th through the 6th of 2022, if you're listening to this episode later. And I'm doing this one as a test. I wanted to see if this 3-day format is interesting or intriguing for my audience. And I'm testing a lower price point. So we'll see how it goes. But the second piece of what I'm doing is updating the course to fix a few things. So if you're interested in jumping in for us this weekend, go to coursecreatorshq.com/intensive and we can get your content created. So for 2023, you've got a new revenue stream that you can add to your business. So that's my goal, is I want to make sure all of you incredible experts out there have a course ready that you can add in as another stream, add in as a bonus, add in to build your email list, add in when people are on the fence and you can tell them, hey, you get my online course too. Like, there's so many ways to use it. So I'm hoping that you will jump in this weekend and join us, because we're going to crank it out. So coursecreatorshq.com/intensive, or you can go to the show notes at coursecreatorshq.com/119. Okay. So what can you change or fix or update when you're coming back to your course later? And what are some of the questions you should be asking yourself? So I did a quick list for you. So if you want to grab a piece of paper so you can jot these down, or they're in the show notes too. So the first one is and this might be the most important one actually, is what feedback have you gotten from your students? Because those are the ones who've been through it. They know where they've gotten stuck. Like, they can find the things that are potentially a problem and that maybe you want to change. Now, you probably want to check and make sure it's not just one person who said this, because it may just be the way they learn or their background that something in particular made it more challenging for them. But take their feedback and kind of look at it and see, oh, does that make sense? And so one of the things that one of my students had said is, I combined some of the hours together for the 24-hour course creator program. And what ends up happening then is they don't have that lesson completed button to click for every hour. And I was like, that makes sense. It would be helpful for them to have each hour of the 24 hours, they have a completed this lesson button. So I'm going through and I'm separating it out and changing that up a little bit so that they'll have 24 buttons to click. Okay. And then number 2 is, where did your students get stuck? So were there places where they didn't keep going, or the big things that came up for them? Can you help them out at those stuck places? So we have a lesson in here where we kind of divide things up and plan out the rest of the 24 hours. And a few of my students got confused by that. So I was like, I can add a little bit more in there to make that clearer and to make that simpler for them. So where have your students gotten stuck? Number 3 is review your stats. So hopefully you're on a tool that will tell you how far your students have gotten into your lessons and see what lessons were they stopping on. Did they get through the first 4 or 5 and then it's lesson number 6 that they stopped and they didn't do anymore? Then that's maybe one that you can work on, especially if you have more than one student who got stopped at that lesson. So use your statistics. Number 4, are you missing any images? So I am guilty, and I sort of do this on purpose so that my students can see that this is okay. But I'm guilty sometimes of leaving out the thumbnails on my courses, the individual images on each lesson. It's nice to have, and yes, it makes it complete, but does it add that much to the lessons? Not really. So sometimes when I'm in a hurry, I'll launch a course without those thumbnails. So if I'm going to go back and fix things, I can add in some new thumbnails, which is one of the things that we are doing. Because we're breaking up the lessons, we needed to change out the thumbnails too. Number 5 is, are there any additional worksheets or checklists that you can add to make life easier for your students? So I created a new worksheet because I wanted their research this weekend to go really, really well. And so I've got this 3-step worksheet that I'm pulling folks through that I think will make life so much easier when they are trying to put their course together and have that organized. Part of being quick and efficient with course creation is just getting organized. And so I'm adding in a few things about that so that they can really crank through the course creation this weekend. Number 6, should you rearrange any lessons or maybe break a lesson apart if it was complicated and it needs to be in multiple steps? If you did coaching calls, was there something that your students said during the coaching calls? If you made any notes or you noticed anything, is there something that should happen first and then you teach them the next part of the lesson? Those are really good questions to sort of pull out and ask yourself, where were people confused and why were they confused? So is there some way that I can make that clearer, that I can simplify it, I can break it up and make it easier for my students, make it more organized? Just spending a little time thinking about what did they ask during coaching calls can really help with this question. And then sort of related to that, are there any missing lessons? That's question number 7. Like, did you really have a hole somewhere where people are wondering like, oh, I don't get this part. Can you explain this more? Would be one of the big pieces of that. And then in addition, this is also part of number 7, is there any place where you have too many lessons? Like it's just too much and it's not all needed. That's even better, I think, when you can take out things that are no longer necessary. Anytime you can make the course shorter, simpler, clearer, with fewer lessons, that's better. We all want to get done faster. And then at number 8, and this is not so much on the course creation side of things, but more on the course sales side of things, is how can you market and sell the course a little bit differently? What can you test? And I'm actually going to do an entire episode on this, so keep your eye out for that. Some of the different tests that you can do, different ways you can update or change your sales process. But for this episode, my suggestion is to come up with one thing to test and see if it works a little bit better for you. So it could be maybe just that you go and you test out a new place to market your course, a new pool to play in, a new playground to check out and see what the audience is like. Because one of the things that I have noticed is new audiences tend to get me new people, especially the first time I'm using them. When I'm brand new to an audience, that seems to really grab people's attention. And so you can do something similar, like let's find one new place where you can go test it out, try it out, see if your sales process works a little bit better there. So I'll recap these questions a little bit for you so that you've got them all in case you missed one or two. First one is number one, what feedback did you get from your students that you can use? Number two, where did your students get stuck? Number three, review your statistics on completed lessons that you probably have with your course host. Number four, are there any images that are missing? Number five, are there any additional worksheets or checklists that you can add? Number six, should you rearrange any lessons or maybe break them apart, put them in a different order? Number seven, are there any missing lessons or are there any lessons that were too much that you should simplify and shorten and make easier? And number eight, how can you market and sell the course a little bit differently? Like, what's one place that you can go test and change your marketing process? So I hope this gave you some inspiration and some ideas for improving your course the second time around. And really, if you're interested at all in the 24-hour Course Creator Program, please go check out the show notes at coursecreatorshq.com/119. I'll have the link in there for you. I don't know if I'm going to do this again. We will see how it goes, and if it's popular, then maybe. But this is a way for you to jump in, get this ready for 2023 and at a discounted price. So if price has held you up in the past, be sure to come check us out. And I hope to see you this weekend. Otherwise, have an amazing week and I will catch you on the next episode. Take care.